You finally try Inktense pencils and they just look messy, patchy, or way too dark. This happens all the time with these pencils unless you know the right techniques. But once you do, it's surprisingly simple. I'll show you what I mean with this cactus in a glass jar project. There's no background. It's made up of clear shapes, strong contrast, and it uses the most basic, beginner-friendly techniques everyone can try, so let's dive in. Hi, I'm Françoise. Welcome back to my channel where realistic watercolor and watercolor pencils feel easy. The thing about Inktense pencils is that they work beautifully with regular watercolor supplies, so we want to keep it simple. If you have the 72 or 100 count sets, that's great, but you don't need them all. And by the way, these techniques also work with watercolor pencils. But what's so special about Inktense, despite that they're ink-based, is that the colors are a tad more vivid. So here's what you'll need. Watercolor paper, and for something like this, one subject and no background, I like hot press paper because it is smooth with just enough texture to grab color, and I like a weight of 300 grams per square meter. Inktense pencils can be used on other paper types too, but I would just stay away from glossy or textured papers and very thin papers in general. Masking tape is always convenient to hold down your sheet into place. And for this project in particular, 1 or 2 small round watercolor paintbrushes with a fine tip are great for tight areas. But for other projects, I'll also use larger paintbrushes like flat and big round paintbrushes. A regular pencil sharpener is crucial for details, and the most basic one of all works best for me. 1 water jar is plenty, unlike 2 for traditional watercolor, because water-soluble pencils mean little water, and little water means less mess too. Paper towels will be very handy for drying brushes or lifting color, and I'll show you how I do that later. And optional, a heat gun or a hairdryer if you're a bit impatient when it's time to layer over our base. Although this type of art will dry very fast because again, we'll barely use any water. Start by looking at your reference when it comes to colors and locating the main ones. And then just add a very light one and a very dark one. So for example, for this reference here, it's going to be green, light brown, and dark brown when it comes to the main colors. And I actually can't live without my white pencil, obviously, so that's why I picked that one first. Then I go for those colors that I just mentioned, so I'm talking about a vivid green, a mustard color, is perfect for the thread all around the jar, and a rich, deep sepia, that's going to be great for the dirt. And just a note here that I wanted to paint this with watercolor pencils in the beginning, but then I went for Inktense because they have the best selection for dark colors. I love their browns and their grays. Finally, I picked black. It's rarely needed. I barely ever use it, but it's going to be useful here for deeper shadows because I already had that sepia color and it's already very dark. But for most paintings, I would just use sepia as a dark color or indigo. So now you see that just 5 pencils will give you a rich, realistic palette when simply coloring and activating the paint. Notice now how easy it is to also mix them together and create different colors. It'll be useful as I'm about to show you because now we're ready to start coloring. And we'll follow 3 simple steps that I always use with Inktense pencils and watercolor pencils. And a quick side note that if you want to learn without having to piece everything together, join my watercolor pencil course that also goes for Inktense pencils. I cover everything, every technique in that course with a special module that includes Inktense and color equivalents between Inktense pencils and watercolor pencil for each one of the many projects available there. Or if for now you want to start smaller, just try it out. This exact piece and many others are available on my Patreon in real time for a small monthly fee. So I'll link all of that in the description below, but for now, let's go through each step. And coloring is the first one, the most basic of all, but how you do it is going to make all the difference. The first question to ask would be, do you need to sharpen your pencils? I'd say only when necessary, because a sharp tip leaves more room for unwanted lines that don't go away with blending. But in this piece, there are lots of small shapes that are going to require more precision, and that's why we need a fine tip. But to keep things smooth and beautiful, no matter what the tip looks like, the key is going to be to use even pressure and also to color very lightly, especially at the start. Inktense lays down pigment easily, it's creamy, almost waxy, so there's really no need to press hard anyways. Also use long oval motions to avoid harsh strokes and start and stop lines. For this first coloring step, I always start with the base color. Here it's going to be the bright green for the cactus. Keep building up slowly. Start light, then press a little harder where you want definition, like separating leaves or showing one in front of another. Then you can layer sepia over where the leaves are darker. That's going to create natural dark greens. And layering also adds contrast and variation in color, which makes your piece feel more real, as you might already be able to see. The lower leaves should be darker, and I see that in the reference. So try and reflect that as you build your layers. Observation is important if you like realism like me. To keep your greens looking green and not brown, the trick here would be to relayer the green over sepia. It's one of my favorite little things to do. And that is also going to give you rich blends and smooth gradients. And in places, also more vibrancy. The cactus will already look almost finished before even activating anything, and that is the goal. For the thin thread around the jar now, don't try to draw every detail. It will be very hard, and in the way that I teach, we're always taking the laziest but fastest routes, and we get the best results. So here my strategy is just to block in the main color and then add the darker areas where they're most noticeable. And then we'll just define everything more clearly later with a little bit of detail. And for the dirt, don't just color everything dark brown. That is a common trap. Instead, if you don't want it to look dull and boring and more realistic, add more mustard yellow where colors look warmer in the reference, because we want to leverage those colors from our limited palette, and mustard looks great with sepia. Also, adding a color to several areas of a painting strengthens the color harmony. With sepia, I press harder in the darker parts and I barely touch the page where it's a light brown reflection to pave the way for the whites that I will add later. Color variety, pressure, those are small things that make a big difference in the end. For now, notice that I will avoid the white and black pencils. I tend to keep these very light and dark colors for last, whatever they are. However, it's better to preserve the white of the paper as your brightest highlight during the step when there's a very bright highlight, as it's the case here on the jar, and that's why I went around it. So use that first step to create depth and harmony, to set a base for your art. It's going to save you time later. And now with activating, this is where most people use Inktense in a way that might ruin a beautiful coloring. So I'm going to show you exactly how to go about that. When you activate the pigment, it comes alive, especially with our ink-based Inktense pencils. This is one of the most exciting parts. And here's how to do it right. You want to start with a clean, damp brush and keep a paper towel nearby. Here I dip my clean brush in water. I blot it on the paper towel. Then I activate one area at a time. Remember to rinse your brush before switching colors, or if you see that it has picked up lots of color already and it's cleaned, it's time to do it because this keeps your coloring accurate, whether you want to activate light areas or rich and dark ones. And every time, repeat those steps. Rinse the brush, blot it on the paper towel, activate a small section, and so on. You can also take advantage of that stage here to pull pigment from one place into another when you have a lot on your brush to start creating details. I did it here to picture more reflections on the jar. And you can also lift pigment with a damp brush to brighten specific areas too. It's going to be easier on wet because people say that Inktense can be lifted, but it can even on dry, depending on your paper, and you'll see how I do this later. Softening edges with a slightly damp brush is another fantastic technique for realistic blending. If, like me, you don't like too many harsh edges. But we're not trying to be photorealistic here, and you're going to see with that third step coming and the techniques that I teach, the way that I paint, we're able to get something that looks realistic and cohesive in just 90 minutes and taking our time, enjoying the process. And the layering and the finishing touches is actually the last step. That's going to make everything come together in your art. So once everything is dry, I like to take that step back and ask myself what I can improve. And usually it's either deepening shadows, sharpening highlights, or boosting vibrancy, or all of it. And then I get into the final details. And that's why here, you may use your black pencil to darken the cactus leaves and clarify shapes in places. And at this point, that dark color is okay to add because it will melt into other ones below and it's just a small touch. And actually, you can choose to activate that or keep it dry, it doesn't really matter. Then, if you feel the need to, you can gently bring in the white pencil to highlight key areas. Look at the difference that this makes in just the leaves. Imagine what the jar is going to look like later when I use this technique. For the thread, I thought it was good to treat my pencils like colored pencils here, and I used the sharp tips to redefine shapes without trying to outline each part in the thread still. And clearly, you can see it's enough. Inside the glass, it'd be time to layer a bit more brown if needed and some black. Now we already have a good base. And finally, white for the reflections. I did just that, and then I decided to activate that again for smooth transitions, as I like my art to look that way, but a bit of pencil texture can also look very nice. Now's the time for a little refinements and watch everything come together. And of course, it's going to depend on the project you're working on. The process is not going to be exactly the same when it comes to details for one painting or another. Here, for example, I wanted to add those tricky little parts in the thread and those wooden parts that were sitting on top of the soil at the base of the cactus. And on a nearly finished painting like this one, the lifting technique is going to be a great trick to use. You just want to wet the part you want to lift and then remove the pigment with a paper towel. So here you can see it is perfect for suggesting the little decorative wood particles in the dirt. And you can see I finished it with the color mustard. I use it like a colored pencil. I also decided to add a little more mustard yellow at the cactus base to bring more harmony since it's an earthy color anyways, and it goes well with both plant and dirt. It's also the main color for the thread, and it's vibrant too. Small touches like these are almost invisible, but they make the whole piece feel complete. And you can decide that as you go and depending on what you're painting. And for a final wow moment that I do in everything that I paint, I like to wet the tip of my white pencil to create super bright and sharp highlights that show even over dark areas. It only takes seconds, but the impact is huge. And we're done with a beautiful, realistic Inktense painting that didn't take that long at all and felt like a joy to create because it's really a step-by-step process that gives you time to think but also relax. So now I'd love to hear from you. And are you more of an Inktense person or a watercolor pencil fan? Drop your answer in the comments below. Consider joining my self-study watercolor pencil course or my Patreon, both linked in the description below. And for more inspiration like this, you can also watch this video next and many others here on the channel. So thank you so much for sticking around till the end and see you next time.